Hello everybody, as you can see today we're going to be discussing how to reinvent yourself for 2026. This video will be a complete guide, extremely detailed, extremely in-depth of how you can actually use 2026 to reinvent your life completely. So we're going to start off this video going over the introduction. Reinvention is rewrite. It's not a calendar reset. Most people approach reinvention as if it's like a cosmetic update. It's something with the calendar. When 2026 hits, they're going to have new goals, new routines, a new year, new energy. Something's going to magically change because of the calendar reset. But reinvention that actually lasts doesn't just start with your habits. It starts with your identity, which we're going to be talking about, your nervous system, and internal environment. We will discuss all of these points so that you can actually understand how to actually reinvent yourself. The people who change their lives permanently aren't the ones who set the most goals. They're not the ones who set out all these goals and things that they're chasing. They're the ones who change the operating system that sets the goals. You have to first change yourself before you can go out and set these huge, humongous goals. 2026 will not reward the person who tries harder. It will reward the person who builds themselves differently, who rewrites themselves, who recreates themselves. It's about, which we're going to discuss, identity death and identity creation, standards replacing motivation, biology supporting ambition instead of resisting it, removing friction so success becomes the default, not the fight, and making 2026 feel like the natural outcome of who you became in 2025. We will discuss all these topics in extreme detail, and this video will benefit your life extremely if you can watch it all the way. Firstly, the reinvention trigger, when you feel the shift before it happens. So, reinvention always starts with a feeling, not a plan. A few months before someone truly changes, they experience this mental pressure that sounds like, I'm tired of being the same person. I can see the future version of me, but I'm not living as him yet. So, for example, me, I used to be stuck, right? I was extremely angry at myself because I understood I have all this potential. And I was busy gooning, playing video games, giving into all this degeneracy, worldly stuff. And I had so much anger and frustration at myself to where I understood I'm tired of being the same person. I am tired of this lifestyle. You have to first be tired of living this way. Then you have to be able to see the future version of yourself. You need to be able to visualize. You need to be able to completely close your eyes and imagine that dream version of you. You can do that right now. Pause this video. Do it. Close your eyes. Imagine that dream version of yourself. How does he act? What does he wear? How does he speak to people? What does his step-by-step daily routine look like? When you can visualize this version of yourself, you can start living as him. You can start trying to mirror him identically. And once you do that, you basically slowly over time become that person. It's basically faking it until you make it, but you're actually slowly becoming that person. You also have to understand, my potential is louder than my excuses now. You have to understand that enlightenment of, okay, your potential is so humongous compared to these excuses you make. And you also have to understand, I don't hate my life, but I can feel I've outgrown it. You have to have this point where you have so much resistance, so much internal resistance from where you are and where you want to be. Okay, like that future version of yourself's pushing you so hardly. It's like you have to move, and you have to go through this point before you can actually change. The point where you get so annoyed, you get so irritated at just living this basic lifestyle to where the only thing that makes sense is just completely changing, completely reinventing yourself. Now, the discomfort is not failure. It's your brain saying the old identity, the old version of myself has expired. I need to create a new model and reinvent myself. Now, most people try to numb this feeling that they have where it feels like something's pushing them, something's causing them, something's poking them. You know, if a lot of people have this, they feel like something's poking them, something's pushing them, something's giving them discomfort, telling them you need to change the way you're living. But what they do is they numb this feeling with distractions, entertainment, doom scrolling, scrolling on reels all day, watching Netflix, watching porn, social approval, going out, hanging with the wrong group of people, searching for that feeling of discomfort, trying to find it with approval from other people. Bad habits, corn, gooning, video games, there's endless, eating junk food. Comfort routines. A lot of people actually have comfort routines they haven't identified within themselves yet. It's where, for example, you get an emotion, let's say stress or anxiety. That emotion comes to you. Everybody has some sort of routine that they do when that emotion comes. Maybe for one person, they feel stressful, and what happens is they go down this thing where they first eat some sort of kind of bad junk food, and then they watch Netflix, and then they might fap. You go down, that's an extreme example, but everyone has that comfort routine when they feel stressed or anxious or any sort of emotion, sadness, depression, whatever. They have this routine they go down. So you have to be conscious of your routine in order to rewrite it. Procrastination disguised as planning. They will procrastinate. They will not do anything. They will always leave it out. They'll have these immense plans. Oh, I have all these goals for 2026. I'm gonna run a marathon. I'm gonna get lean. I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna make my first 20K month. All of these goals, and they write intense plans for it, but they never take action, and they always procrastinate. But they think it's planning. But the people who actually reinvent themselves, they listen to the discomfort instead of just trying to soften it. They listen to it. They say, you know what? This discomfort, I'm going to embrace it. It's something that's speaking to me, telling me I need to change my current identity and reinvent myself and rebuild myself. So you need to first stop denying it. Stop denying that feeling you have that you know you can be doing more. And accept it. Say, you know what? That feeling is there for a reason, because I need to change. Because reinvention starts when you can no longer lie to yourself, when you can no longer tell yourself it's all okay, you're trying enough, you're doing enough, because those are lies you are telling yourself, and they are not true. It's once you are honest with yourself. You have to look yourself in the mirror. I did this too, and you just look at yourself in the mirror and you're brutally vulnerable. You're honest. You say, look at me. This is the man I am. And a lot of I'll speak about this. A lot of it is a identity reset. Freshman year, I had so much self-hatred for all of myself, right? I thought no one liked me. I felt misput. I wasn't sure of myself, and I had so much self-hatred and so much discomfort in my current identity, so I said, I need to change it. I got a buzz cut. I started going to the gym. And through that self-hatred, I found self-love. I was able to completely reinvent myself. So I do know what I'm talking about. Section 1. Let the old version of you become slightly embarrassing. To reinvent yourself, you don't attack who you are. You stop feeding him. The old identity you have will start to dissolve when you stop emotionally defending them. You stop telling yourself, well, it's okay. Everyone does it. It's normal. One last time. It's all good. You stop negotiating with this habit, that one loop of one last time. The reason why people do this, the reason why people say, oh, this is my last time, is because you're leaving that responsibility to the future version of yourself. You think that future version of yourself tomorrow is going to be more disciplined, going to be more motivated, going to be more willing to not give into that bad habit, but that's extremely untrue. So you have to stop negotiating with the habit. You need to also stop you need to stop giving him airtime to your decisions. What is happening is you're second guessing yourself. Your intuition knows what's right. Your intuition knows you shouldn't watch corn. Your intuition knows you shouldn't eat that junk food. Your intuition knows you shouldn't scroll on TikTok for hours a day. But you try to numb yourself from it by telling yourself these lies. And that's the issue. You stop protecting the ego of who you used to be. That is huge. The ego. We all have this ego. We all have this strong ego. And you have to let that ego go, because that ego is fighting so hardly to defend itself. It's so emotional. It's trying so hard to defend itself of why it's doing these things. So you have to dissolve the ego. Reinvention means letting go of things, habits you've mentally outgrown, self-concepts that make you smaller, excuses that sound weak to you now, identities that require you to stay the same to survive. What habits have you mentally outgrown? What habits are you doing that you know it's wrong, that you're starting just to feel numb to? You know, doom scrolling for a lot of people, fapping. I mean, there's so many things that people do automatically because it's habitual, but they don't actually want to do it. So it's this weird numbing process. You stop let me scroll down. Self-concepts that make you smaller. We all have these limiting beliefs. I had them a lot. I had so many of them. I still have them slightly, but 99% less than I used to. It's these self-concepts we hold within ourselves. We don't deserve this. We don't deserve that girl. We don't deserve success. People don't like us. We're ugly. We're this. We're that. It's these self-concepts that we hold in our mind internally, and these self-concepts cause us to feel smaller about ourselves, to grow things such as self-hatred. You need to let these self-concepts go in order to rebuild new self-concepts. Excuses that sound weak to you now. These excuses that you feed yourself. You wake up early and you're like, oh, I'm just going to go to bed later because it's better for me. I've used that so many times. You wake up and you're getting 7 hours of sleep and you're like, well, if I just snooze my alarm and I get more sleep, it's better for me because I'll feel better. These excuses that we give ourselves. Identities that require you to stay the same to survive. These identities we have created for ourselves that we're this certain version. We're the version that gives into degeneracy, that gives into the world, lust, doom scrolling, bad habits. These identities we have found comfort in. We need to let them die. A good way to tell the old identity is dying is when you start saying things like, I don't do that anymore. For example, let's say you or someone is a heavy drinker. They drink. If you're in a social setting and someone says, hey, do you want to drink? What are you going to say? You're going to say, you're sure, or I'm not feeling like it, or no, I sometimes don't drink. No. But if you ask that to someone who isn't a drinker, who doesn't drink, their response will be, oh, I don't drink. That used to be me, but it's not who I am anymore. I've outgrown that part of me. So you have to be able to reset your identity and create this new identity that views these bad habits differently. Because, for example, with porn, I talk a lot about pornography. What if you're watching porn, I say porn because it's like TikTok, something like that, but say you're watching porn, what happens is you tell yourself these excuses, right? That I struggle with porn addiction. I sometimes watch it. I try not to. No. You need to build this new identity that I don't watch porn. I don't give into lust. I don't give into degeneracy. I used to watch porn, but I don't watch it anymore. I've outgrown that part of me that's used to struggle with porn addiction, right? So you have to understand there's these cues that happen when you start to rebuild your identity, and you're going to start seeing them in yourselves. And these are signs that you're actually on the right path. So look out for them. The most powerful identity shift, it's not emotional. It's resolvement. It's you being it's you feeling resolved with that past version of yourself, and you feel comfortable building the new version of yourself. Section 2. Build standards that catch you when motivation drops. Motivation is emotional fuel. Standards are identity architecture. In 2026, you will not rise to your goals. You will collapse into your standards. What that means, you can sit there, you can write all the goals in the world. For example, this is on top of my desk. There's no spiders behind it. Oh, was a spider? Alright. For example, I wrote this. Let me get a screenshot for the video. But I wrote this January 1st, 2025. I wrote down my goals. 10K month, new car, social media as a revenue source, and grow with God. Now, I wrote down these goals. Let me put this back. Those goals didn't have much behind them when I wrote them. I could have wrote those goals, and I could have not tried or anything, but what happened is I wrote these goals, and instead of just following these goals and achieving these goals, what happens was I turned these goals into standards. I started to feel disgust. Like, how am I not making 10K a month? How am I driving this car? Why am I not making money on social media? I deserve to. I should be. I need to be. I am. It's like this almost sense of delusion. It is a sense of delusion. When I was making like 3K a month, 2K a month, I felt like I was making 10K a month. And it's an interesting thing. And then if you feel like you're making 10K a month, eventually you make 10K a month. So it's an interesting delusion. So your 2026 reinvention, it depends on what you make non-negotiable now. What are you going to make non-negotiable? Standards sound like, I don't skip days that build me. I don't tolerate habits that make me weaker. I don't need hype to show up. I move toward the future without emotionally gripping the outcomes. I show up as someone I respect, not someone I pity. You have to build these such strong standards. You can set as many goals as you want, right? You want all the goals. For me, the 10K month, the new car, the social media's revenues, growing with God. But what happened was I didn't set these as goals. I set them as standards. Like I said, why am I not doing this? Why do I not have this? I deserve it. I need to have it. It's meant for me to have it. It's ridiculous that I don't have it. These were standards. So I felt so pissed off almost that I didn't have it because it was a standard. So you need to standardize your goals. And you need to truly believe that you deserve it. The only way you're going to truly believe you deserve it, you can say things like visualization, manifestation, but the biggest one is raw action. When you're actually doing raw action, you're going to think you deserve it. And when you have to truly believe you deserve it in order to accomplish it. If you have so much belief that you deserve something and you get so angry that you don't have it, what you deserve, you will get it. So you need to make sure you truly believe you deserve it. Standards are powerful because they don't require emotion to work. You don't have to be motivated. You don't have to be hyped up, right? It's a standard for yourself. I deserve this. I was meant for this. It is a standard I hold myself up to. They work because they are the floor, not the ceiling. The problem with goals is you are setting your goals as the ceiling, right? This is what I want to achieve by the end of the year. This is my goal. It's far from you. It's far-fetched. You have to go towards it. But when you can reverse engineer your goals into standards and you say, you know what, this is the floor, this is the bare minimum, right? This is the bare minimum. You will achieve it so much easier because your subconscious mind believes that you deserve it. So you have to set these as the floor, not the ceiling. If your standards are low, life feels like effort. It feels like you have to just like do so much to achieve the bare minimum because your standards for yourself are so low. Oh, I want to stop watching. I don't want to use that example. I want to eat junk food. I want to not eat junk food 2 days a week, right? It's like such a low standard that you're not gonna have any progress, or you look at it in like this weird way. Like, okay, I want to make 10K a month. So January, I want to make $800. In February, $1,600. Again, that's sort of a weird thing. I want to double my income every month, whatever. What happens is you create this weird view where your standards are so low to where you don't really put in much effort. And you put in a lot of effort, but it doesn't really amount to anything because you don't have these high standards. So you can do the bare minimum, and it will feel like a lot of effort, but it doesn't achieve anything. If your standards are high, however, life just feels like so much momentum. And I can tell you that is extremely true from what happened to me this year. From January to July, I was grinding, posting social media every day, working on my businesses, grinding so hard. And in that period, I gained like 1,000 followers. I got to 2K a month. So from January to June, in June, I was at 1,000 followers and I was making 2K a month. Boom. July, my social media blew up. I think I had 10,000 followers in July. I hit my first $10,000 a month. It was like $9,000, but around $10,000 a month, basically. And then August, 50,000 followers. Whoa, September, 80,000. Whoa, November, 100,000. Whoa, December, 130,000. It was like weird. It was like nothing happened until everything happened. And it's because I started to hold myself up to these standards. I was like, in June, I said, June is when I got pissed. It's when I was like, wow, What am I doing? I need to be successful. I deserve to be successful. And when I truly believed to myself that I deserve success, success came. It's about that delusional belief that you deserve the success. I'm telling you, it'll change your life. Effortlessness isn't the absence of effort, it's the absence of internal debate about the effort. What that sort of means, to synthesize it better, is we all have this internal debate constantly. When you wake up, you're internally debating. It's you internally debating, am I putting in enough effort? Is this actually effort? And you have this weird fight. But effortlessness is where you don't even think about it. It's a natural flow state. I talked about this in my previous video. It's how to make success feel effortless. I go very in depth on it, but that's, yeah. Section 3, the 4 layers of reinvention, explained like a life system. Mental layer. Identity comes before strategy. You have to change your identity in order to achieve anything. It is necessary. Stop asking, how do I reinvent myself? How do I change myself overnight? How do I completely change my life in 2026? Start asking these questions. Who am I becoming in 2026 that makes the old me irrelevant? Who am I becoming based off of my habits? Who am I going to become if I keep going down this path, right? Your reinvention, it must start at the level of self-concept, not tactics. You need to identify a new self-concept, a new self-identity, that you are this new person, this new version of yourself. You can say, oh, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. I'm going to go to the gym every day at 5 a.m. I'm going to lose 10 pounds, gain 30 pounds of muscle. I'm going to make 10K a month, build a successful business. But you're not going to achieve it because your identity isn't aligned with these goals. So you have to first align your identity with these goals. It is crucial, because if you only change your tactics, right? Oh, I'm going to change my routine. I'm going to wake up earlier. You're still the same person executing them. So if you can't execute them now, you're not going to be able to execute them in it's Christmas Eve right now in 6 days. Nothing's going to change because you're the same person. While reinvention means changing the person behind the actions. You have to change yourself. So the real mental shift is, I'm becoming someone new. So my life has to reorganize around that version. That is a key phrase there. Write that down. Put that on a whiteboard. Put it on like in front of your bed so you wake up to it every morning. You're becoming a new person, so you have to make your life reorganized around that new person you're becoming. How does that person act? What does his routine look like? How does he speak? And you have to start to set your standards around that person. Not, I'll try to change my life. I'm going to try to do this. No, it's my life must change because I am no longer the same person. It's the standards. It's not the goal. It's the standards that your life needs to change. It has to, because your life currently doesn't align with the person who you actually are, who's this disciplined, good, confident, good speaker, rich, successful person. That's who you actually are. So now you have to reorganize your life around that person who you are. You have to understand that you are this person. It is so key. The emotional layer. Remove the threat from change. People don't fail to reinvent themselves because reinvention is hard. They fail because their brain interprets change as threat. Threat to their ego, threat to comfort, threat to identity, threat to social acceptance, threat to safety. This all stems down from primal things. Things that you needed back in the primal days when we were like the bare raw humans, social acceptance, tribes, packs. These are threats to them. If you lose your ego and you don't care about the pride, the success, these accomplishments you're trying to hold on to, and you don't care about your ego, what happens is back in the old primal days, ancestral days, is you would get kicked from the tribe and you would probably die because you were not eating you would probably die. So what happens is neurology, biology, these things still affect our brain. We are scared to lose our ego because what has happened throughout our entire life, we've created this sense of self. This is who I am. This is my identity. But when you start to tear apart your ego, it's scary. It is so scary when you lose your sense of self, but it is needed for change. So you have to sit there in a dark room, all the lights off, have a journal, and be brutally honest with yourself. It's a threat to comfort. We love comfort as human beings, and it's so comfortable thinking you know who you are. It's so comfortable living life the way you've always lived it. But you have to be uncomfortable in order to change. It's a threat to your identity. This is who I am. I'm this person. I don't want to change myself. I'm this person. This is who I've been my entire life. It's scary change. Threat to social acceptance. Well, what are my friends going to think of me? What's my girlfriend going to think of me? What are my family, my parents going to think of me? What is society going to think of me? It's a threat to your social acceptance. Threat to safety. Will I be safe as this new person? Will I be able to live the life I lived? Will people care about me more, make fun of me more? It's a threat to their own safety. But reinvention becomes effortless when failure is no longer a threat to your worth. Change is no longer a threat to your identity. Uncertainty is no longer a threat to your nervous system. People are so emotionally intact. Think to failure being connected to their worth. They think if they get a bad grade in school, they were taught this through the school system, indoctrination, that if they got a bad grade, they were dumb. That if they didn't do this the certain way, they were dumb, they were stupid. So because of that indoctrination of the modern day school system, they think that failure, if they fail at something, they have this bad view of failure, right? They think if they fail that they're a loser, that they're not successful, that they're not worth it. But another person who has a different mindset is, oh, I failed. I learned something. I tried. I'm becoming better. So you have to also rewire your mind to view failure in a different sort of sense. Because failure needs to no longer be a threat to your self-worth. You need to no longer tie success, failure with your identity. You need to lose the ego. Change is no longer a threat to your identity. You're fluid. You're not held to one thing. It's all this stems back to the ego. You must lose the ego and understand your spirit, and you're just flowing through life. Uncertainty is no longer a threat to your nervous system. Your nervous system might live in a state of fear because it knows it needs to change, but it doesn't want to. So your nervous system is causing you to make fear-based decisions. Live a life that is centered in fear, not action, not discipline. It's centered in fear. You don't become fearless. You become new, and fear stops having a purpose in your decisions. When you leave fear, you let fear go on its own path. Physical, biological layer. The nervous system must support the reinvention. Most people think that reinvention is mental, but it's actually mental plus emotional plus biological. Your nervous system resists reinvention when it's stuck in a state of tension. I talk about this a lot in my past video. When your nervous system is scared, it's tense. It has a lot of this pressure. It's overthinking. It's giving into perfectionism. You have emotional urgency, and you're in an identity threat mode. But all of these emotions are purely internal. They're not real. Our brain believes they are real, but they're not externally real in actual reality. So you have to start to heal the nervous system. You can do some things like I'm going to say here. Reinvention feels effortless when your body is not resisting your decisions. For example, releasing tension in your jaw, shoulders, and breath. Just sit there. Take some breaths with me. Relax. Remove that tension. Do breath work, meditation, visualization, calmness. You need to calm your system before taking action. You need to calm yourself before you do things. Training presence, not perfection. You need to train your presence as a human. You are enough. You don't have to act with other people. You don't have to behave a certain way with people. You don't have to have yourself be perceived a certain way, because you need to act in direction, not, or train presence, not perfection. You also have to act from direction, not force. You have a path. You're aligned yourself with your purpose, with your goal. You're not forcing yourself, pushing yourself there. You have aligned yourself with there, and you're just following that path there. Okay? You're following the trail that's already preset to the mountain. You're not taking your own trail, going through meaningless struggle. You're taking the trail that leads to success that you already created. It's letting urgency exist without tension. You're urgent for success because you know you deserve it, but you're not tense about it. You're not so scared to fail. You're not scared of all these things. You're not tense. You're free. You're loose. You're creative. But you know, oh, I need to get there quickly because I deserve to get there. Effortless reinvention is what happens when your body and brain stops fighting the transformation. You stop fighting change. You let change happen naturally. It's when you stop fighting the transformation needed. You stop fighting the uncomfortable. You stop fighting the struggle. You stop fighting, oh, I care what people think about me. You stop fighting it and you just let go. And you let your body transform. You let your brain transform. You let your identity transform. The action layer. Reinvention is trained through a real-time loop. And here's the most important part. So reinvention is trained through this loop. It's notice, lighten, lean, repeat. Let me go over this. Let me get a screenshot real quick if that's good for my thumbnail. Alright, but notice. So notice is when you catch the internal friction, the pressure, the hesitation, the ego, the fear, the tension. You catch it, right? You say, whoa, I am one of these emotions. I'm experiencing one of these emotions. And you accept it. You catch it. Lighten is when you remove that emotional weight from the outcome. You drop the grip. You drop that pressure you put on yourself. I need the result. I need to be making 10K a month. Like, I need to become successful. And you're so focused on the outcome, not the input. You drop the grip on results. You drop the threat from failure. You're not scared to fail. And you drop the self-judgment. You're self-loving. You're self-forgiving. Lean. Move forward into action. Calmly, decisively, not forcing, not frantic, not passive. You're just forward. You're leaning into it. You're not forcing yourself into it. You're leaning into that version of yourself. You're leaning into success. Then repeat until the identity shift becomes automatic and reinvention feels like your default state. This is how the reinvention goes from. At first, reinvention feels forced, and then you train it, and then it's obvious you need to do this, and then it's effortless because it's who you are. So you need to follow that loop of notice the friction, lighten, remove the emotional weight from the outcome, and lean, move forward into action calmly and decisively. Most of us, we take action out of things like fearful urgency, and we can't think fluidly, we can't think creatively because we're acting out of our nervous system scared. So you have to notice, lighten, lean, repeat. Reinvention isn't about becoming better than others. It's about becoming better than who you were, without emotional hostility towards your past self. You need to adopt this mindset. You're not competing with your peers. You're not competing with other people. You're replacing a system that you have put inside of yourself. The system that is hesitant. It's procrastinating. It needs validation. You overthought action. You never took action because you were busy procrastinating. You tied your outcomes to self-worth. If this video performs, then I'm worth something. If I can get my business to be making 20K a month revenue, I'm worth something. And if it doesn't work, then you feel worthless. You protect the ego of the past. You operate in internal turbulence. I talk about internal turbulence in my past video, but a turbulence first, luminant. So you're reinventing the engine, not the aesthetics. You need to replace that past system of yourself that had these attributes, these characteristics, and build the new version of yourself, because that is key. You're not reinventing the engine, or you are reinventing the engine. You're reinventing that centerpiece that's making everything run, not the aesthetics behind it, okay? Section 5. 2026 will feel effortless because 2025 trained the new you. Most people think that this reinvention is some dramatic moment, right? You just like naturally, some sort of event happens and you're like, whoa, like everything makes sense now. This is who I am. But that's not true with the way the brain works. The brain takes time to build new neural pathways to rewire using a process called neuroplasticity. It's not some instant dramatic moment. That's not possible. It's actually quiet daily internal alignment that compounds invisibly. You slowly are starting to change naturally until it's who you are. It's starting off with that thing I spoke about earlier, closing your eyes, imagining that dream version of yourself, then slowly becoming him. It slowly compounds. You don't reinvent yourself in 2026. You reinvent yourself through 2025, so 2026 simply becomes the proof. And that transformation feels effortless in 2026 because your identity is no longer on the line. Your standards are non-negotiable. Your nervous system is calm. You're not in a state of fear, a state of survival. You're in a state of abundance, of confidence. Your direction is unquestioned. You know this is where I'm headed, and I understand I'm headed there, and I'm happy I'm headed there. You know exactly where you're going. Your actions require no internal debate. You don't have to debate yourself. Should I do this? Should I do that? And you have this weird mental debate of two sides. You know internally what you should do. You have an intuition. Trust your intuition. If you're deciding if you should eat this and eat that, your brain knows what to eat. Okay, your brain knows what to drink. It knows what to do. It knows the best decision. Don't fight yourself. Flow with yourself. Your emotions are stable and flexible. Your body cooperates. How am I not saying that word correctly? Your body cooperates. Your body cooperates. I'm not saying that word correctly. I don't know how I'm not, but your body cooperates instead of braces. Your mind moves in laminar flow instead of turbulence flow. Laminar flow is where you're in that flow state, like you're painting a painting, and you're just in this flow state and you're painting the painting and you're not worried about messing up the painting. You're just painting it perfectly and you're just in the weird flow state. Turbulent flow is when you're painting the painting and you're so scared of messing up and you're double checking and you're not in a flow. You're having turbulence. This is how you make success feel natural. The closing message. 2026 will not reward who you wish you were. It will reward who you trained yourself to become when no one was watching. Your habits when no one was watching, when no one was interfering with them. Because reinvention becomes effortless when your identity shifts. You make that identity change, okay? This is who I am now, and you close your eyes. This is who I'm supposed to be, okay? It's not this is who I want to be. This is who I am, who I should be. This is who I am. Like I need to be this person. This is who I actually am. Then it's your standards replace debate. You hold such high standards for yourself that there's no reason for you to debate if you should do something or not do something. And of course, your biology supports your ambition. Your nervous system is calm. You're not in a state of fear. You're in a state of abundance. So don't reinvent your year. Reinvent yourself, and the year will have no choice but to follow. That is how you're actually going to change your life in 2026 and completely reinvent your life. Download my app. It'll help you change your life. Follow my social medias. Thank you all for watching.